This is TWiT.
Some people were saying that these SSD speeds they're quoting are not particularly good. I think 2,400 megabits per second, or is it gigabits per second, read and write? I think it was megabits per second, read and write. Not super fast, but maybe you can speed that up. Thunderbolt certainly could do better than that.
I had a chance to see one yesterday.
Oh, tell us about it. Looks beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But from a pro perspective, I went into, they had a different session set up where we could go take a look at the Mac Pro in action. And of course, I went right to the music one.
Yep.
So they had a Pro Tools project that was recorded in Abbey Road Studio. It had hundreds of tracks on this project. And the big difference was that when it was first recorded, they recorded a full orchestra. That needed its own machine.
And its own giant room.
And so they recorded the orchestra on a separate machine. I believe they had something else that they had to record on a separate machine. Maybe it was a second piece of the orchestra. And then they had a third machine that was dedicated to all the other instruments that they were recording. And then they had video that was embedded in there. So all of this took 3 machines to do in Abbey Road when they recorded it. It was all running on one Mac Pro.
Wow.
And it was incredible. And, being an audio guy, I know what plugins, will affect the power and CPU of an audio project. So I had the guy scroll over. I said, no, I want to see what you're running here. So he scrolled over and all the tracks, plugins were running live. They had some outboard gear from Universal Audio there. And Universal Audio will take up a lot of power, even though they offload it to its own cards. The DSP, it's still, it takes up some processing from the computer. And they had a lot of other plugins installed too. So this is all going live while they're playing it. And they brought 3 computers into one, and it was seamless. And there was still lots of power left on this machine. So
was it a fully equipped machine? Did they say how it was equipped?
They didn't. But I just assumed that it was fully equipped.
Yeah.
But this is, when you're talking pros, that's what you're talking. You're looking at situations where music studios, they also had a Logic setup the same way. So when you're looking at that and you're a music studio, you say, okay, 1 machine, 3 machines. I mean, it was powerful and it was doing amazingly well. Both of them were playing video at the same time.
Is it as beautiful in person as it looks?
Yes.
It really looks
stunning. It's
stunning.
obviously very familiar.
Yeah.
We've seen that type of design. And so you look at it and say, okay, now it's like a hyper cheese grater instead of just the cheese grater that we were used to. But I mean, it looked really, really nice. And when I had my studio before, I mean, I would record the entire band. I was, I had Mackie boards set up so that I could control everything, and it was all going into one of the cheese grater Mac Pros. But, with that many mics and that much processing, sometimes it would hiccup a bit, not much, but this just wouldn't. I mean, there's no way that I could have enough power or enough inputs going into that to even make it hiccup. It was incredible. And that is a pro machine right there.
Yeah.
When you can take 3 and bring it down to 1. I mean, I know that people are talking about the cost, but the cost for somebody like Abbey Road,
nothing.
is is time and processing and extra computers, and you put all those together to make this project. And if they can do it in one, well, that's a cost well spent.
How about the Pro Display XTR? Did you get to see that?
I did, and unfortunately, because I was so enamored with what was going on,
you were looking at the music, not
the music stuff.
Yeah.
Because I kept trying to trick them. I'll tell you, I kept scroll over. Let me see the plugins.
I love that.
I wanted to see,
that's great.
Are they all active?
I'm glad you were there.
Trying to do something here.
Yeah.
So. The Pro Display was there. I didn't get a chance to see it a lot, but it looked amazing. I didn't talk about it a lot. I realized that after I left. Damn,
I should have looked at
the Pro Display.
Yeah. How quiet was that machine running all of those tracks?
You couldn't hear it at all. You couldn't hear it at all.
Wow.
And this was a closed off type of what would be a studio setting. Obviously, it wasn't, complete, but it was a closed off area in a room. So if there was any massive amount of noise, you would have heard it. And at times, he quieted the music, pulled down the switches, and
Nice.
muted the music
just
so that I could
it.
talk to him.
Yeah.
And so we were standing there talking right beside the machine, and there was nothing. And it had to be, even according to the CPU meters, it was working hard. So it wasn't at a time when he didn't stop playing the music. He just muted it.
Right.
So there was no noise, no discernible noise anyway. So I was impressed.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. So as a present, my birthday's coming in September, Leo.
Now, let's see. The XDR displays 6,000. The base model, but it's only 256 gig storage. I think you're going to have to maybe, and really, is 8 cores enough after all? I think we're going to need more than that. I think we're talking 10 grand, 12 grand, 15 grand. I think we're talking about $20,000 for even a moderately equipped system if you want to get a display. Yeah. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
That's the great thing about all those open drive bays. If need be, you can actually live inside it. Like if it's going to be between that and housing.
It's my new house.
And you can put wheels on it and drive it around.
I love it. You can put wheels on it. I think that's a great thing. It's also, there's a rack mountable version of it. And ever since Apple killed the Xserve, I thought, gee, Apple doesn't want to be in the data center. How do you rack mount a trash can? People did it, but not well. The fact that there's a rack mount version, again, tells me Apple's just really been listening. And I think we give them a hard time. I give them a hard time for not listening. I want to give them a lot of praise for really listening to what serious pros wanted and stepping up.
This is a situation where I think Apple was given a hard time, and rightfully so. They deserve that hard time for the Mac Pro, but they answered in spades. I mean, I was expecting a powerful machine. I was, but I wasn't expecting what they gave us.
Yeah,
I was really surprised.
One suspects that they said to the designers, "Do not consider cost."
Well, I mean, if you're looking at pros again. I don't think that no,
there's nothing wrong with that. That's right. Pros aren't looking at the cost. But I'm just saying, normally, I mean, even with the original Mac and with the iMac, Jobs would sometimes, I remember the story, Johnny Ive saying, you want a handle on that? That's going to cost you. And Jobs said, no, we're going to do it. But most of the time, you have to consider the cost of manufacture, the difficulty of manufacture, the final cost of the product. Will anybody buy it? But every once in a while, you get a chance to say, look, we're not going to worry about how much it costs to make. What would be the best thing you could do? I have a feeling even those holes are expensive, right?
Yeah. But I think, isn't that what they kind of did with the trash can Mac Pro? They wanted something that would appeal to everybody to have a Mac Pro on their desk. And, they made this beautiful looking
but the
trash
designers
can,
overruled the engineers. That was I think the problem.
Right. So now they went the opposite way.
Exactly.
And what worked? Well, the Cheesegator Mac Pro worked great. I had a G5 of that. I have an Intel version of it. I mean, that thing just worked amazingly well.
We still have half a dozen here. I mean,
yeah, they went back to that design, but they powered it like crazy. And that's what people want.
That's what they wanted.
They had a 3D studio set up in there. They had a photography studio set up in there. It was just the things that they were doing. They had green screens. They had everything set up in there. Every type of major pro workflow, from video, 3D, music, everything was there.
Not just a callback to the cheese grater Mac, though. Call back to the iMac, the Luxo lamp iMac, with that stand in the arm.
Yeah.
I remember Jobs agonized over that arm and getting it right and making it so it wouldn't wear out. And it looks like that engineering has lived on with this new stand.